West Ham fans and a yearning for Upton Park, 10 years on, will they at least get a fresh start? The sharp, gray corrugated iron fences marked out the places we weren't meant to go, patches of disused land that sat idle between rows of life. There was two down narrow housing next to prefabricated, single-story dwellings, erected after the Second World War to cope with a changing population. At the bottom of the road, a small chapel, offering Sunday school and a version of order. A different community to the one Karren Brady would later try to reshape to keep up with football's relentless explosion of professionalism, money, and ambition.
Tired of spending forever chopping vegetables? This all-in-one prep tool dices and spiralizes ingredients directly into a handy container, helping make salads, sides, and meal prep faster and less messy. Want to get the best verified deal and see full details? Visit grabdeal.us/2 right now.
West Ham United, a working-class club rooted in a working-class place. Its people were working class, many at the harder end of it. Football sat at the center of everything, even when it wasn't visible. Locally, it lived in conversations outside Bernie's corner shop, in the rhythm of the week inside Windsor School's playground. West Ham wasn't just a club, it was a reference point, a constant in a place that didn't always offer stability. There wasn't much green space in Cypress Place, but there was plenty of joy, the noise of children playing street football, the freedom of few cars to interrupt us. Most people took the bus or stayed local. Inside, life unfolded in cramped sculleries that backed onto concrete yards, no gardens, just space enough. In winter, or late at night, you used a bucket. You also remember when the street turned claret and blue. Flags stretched across windows, cardboard trophies wrapped in foil whenever West Ham reached a cup final. And that was often enough. 3 FA Cups in 17 years, a European triumph, 2 more finals lost. It would come to be known as a golden era. The last of those FA Cups came in 1980, still the most recent time a team outside the top flight has won it. Call Me by Blondie was the best-selling single of the year. Telephone lines in homes were scarce. Using the local phone box meant queues and patience. Communication with the outside world was mainly by post. Advertisement at the other end of our road, the cranes of the docks loomed great Stothert and Pitt machines that growled overhead like something out of Star Wars, guarding the scale and mystery of the River Thames. From that direction, my granddad came home one day. Ron Goodacre, a stevedore, a longshoreman strong, proud, always with a story. That afternoon, he had something else, a copy of the Evening Standard, 3 decks of headline across the front page, no less. West Ham sign world record goalkeeper a world record for a second division club, a giant of a man with hands like shovels. Within a year, West Ham had won the FA Cup and promotion back to the first division. The average attendance the season Park signed was a healthy 22,868. For most of us, ambition stretched only as far as the docks, the gasworks, maybe Tate and Lyle over the river in Woolwich. We wanted West Ham in whatever way it came. That was the ambition, to afford a ticket and to feel the magic for ourselves. It was brilliant at Upton Park, with the stands and the supporters so close, like they were almost on top of me, Michael Carrick, now Manchester United's head coach, wrote in his autobiography, Between the Lines. The old chicken run, the East Stand, would really intimidate the opposition. It scared me a bit, and I played for West Ham. I never went in the chicken run, but it came to me a few times. That kept me on my toes. It was hostile. Legendary sports photographer Andy Hooper, 62, recalls working on match nights by the touchline. I got home one day and my jacket was burned with cigarette holes pierced into the back. It was a welcome to Upton Park from the locals, he tells The Athletic. Advertisement, the chicken run was where the hard lungs went. I didn't complain, I kept returning. I covered 6 Olympic Games, 5 Men's World Cups, and 35 Wimbledon Championships, and there was never another sports stadium like Upton Park. It was a special ground, and I loved the opportunity for the access that allowed me to photograph the book. West Ham people were always unique. West Ham 2, Everton 1. For the first time at the London Stadium, the club's vice-chair Brady was absent, following her resignation after 16 years at the center of change. It has been 10 years since that first game at the venue, a Europa League qualifier against Domžale of Slovenia on August 4, 2016. This is West Ham bigger now, but see if you can find many who think it is also better. So many longing for what was lost, who remain uneasy with what has replaced it. Chants aimed at Brady and co-owner David Sullivan cut through the noise, while others hold up cards questioning the direction of the club. On the pitch, the uncertainty continues as a relegation battle unfolds. The surroundings tell their own story. Stratford, polished and rebuilt for the 2012 Olympic Games, frames the stadium with glass and steel. The vast retail sprawl of Westfield Stratford City Shopping Centre sits at its heart. On match days, supporters are funneled away from it, directed along longer routes, past new apartment blocks from the post-Olympic regeneration. Security guards stand by temporary iron gates. Away back along the old sewer bank, the old place is anything like home either, now creating a deeper sense of loss for the supporters. The sewer bank, now called the Greenway to create a different feel for new residents, still carries waste from the Thames to the treatment works at Abbey Mills pumping station, just as it has since the 19th century. It also connects Old West Ham to the new. Advertisement built in the late 1800s to protect London from diseases such as cholera, it once drew a vivid description from Benjamin Disraeli, twice British Prime Minister in the 1800s, who called it a Stygian pool reeking with ineffable and unbearable horror. Almost uninterrupted, from East Ham to Stratford. On the anniversary of West Ham's last cup final at Wembley, 45 years on from the League Cup final defeat to Liverpool on March 14, 1981, I made the journey back towards Upton Park, with photographer Hooper as my sidekick on our rented Lime bikes. It has been a decade since Farewell to Upton Park, the book we collaborated on, was first published. There has been talk of a reprint as we approach the 10th anniversary, but for many, there was no appetite to say goodbye. The move from the Boleyn Ground to the London Stadium brought uncertainty at first, resistance for some. Over time, that feeling has only hardened, culminating with relegation at the end of last season. On the night of the last game at the old stadium, a 3-2 victory against Manchester United on May 10, 2016, nobody, not the police, the local community, not the club, expected the outpouring of emotion and aggression. Thousands of ticketless fans turned up, and the Manchester United team bus was delayed, attacked and vandalized as players, including Jesse Lingard and Phil Jones, lay on the floor, bottles raining down from the welcome party outside the Boleyn public house. One fan was quoted on the BBC as saying, "Policing was awful. It was just carnage." Tales of batons and smoke bombs were relayed. Some fans complained of walking only 10 paces in 20 minutes, such was the overcrowding in the narrow streets approaching the ground. Today, apart from the queue for the local mosque, there is barely a soul on the streets. The two of us double the number in the Boleyn pub when we call in for some refreshment before the pilgrimage, along the road to the old stadium. Advertisement: the Champions statue, including West Ham's 3 1966 World Cup winners, Captain Bobby Moore, hat-trick hero centre-forward Sir Geoff Hurst, and fellow goalscorer Martin Peters, peers across the Barking Road and down Green Street. It was said this was the day West Ham won the World Cup. The statue was meant to move with them from their old stadium to their new stadium. A few strides take us to the newly created Shipbuilding Way, with the sprawling flats that have replaced the old stands. West Ham were originally called Thames Ironworks, after a large shipbuilding yard. There are a lot of them, towering over the worn patch of grass where there is a tribute to Moore, a tribute so pathetic it might have been designed by a wounded animal. The sign next to it says, "No ball games." This plaque marks the location of the center circle at the former Boleyn Ground, under which a time capsule for Bobby Moore is buried. Imagine the Beatles having only a lump of turf, a bent sign. Arsene Wenger, then manager of Arsenal, compared West Ham's move as like winning the lottery. For many supporters, it has felt more like collecting a prize nobody wanted. This isn't the football club I grew up watching from the old South Bank, shoulder to shoulder with my mates, singing our hearts out. From the final whistle of last season, West Ham have endured almost every stage of a football club's identity crisis. The sale of key players, with Matías Fernandes and Crysencio Somerville gone, and academy graduate Freddie Potts expected to follow. 4 days before a Carabao Cup first-round tie at home to Portsmouth on Saturday, head coach Nuno Espirito Santo is still working out his strongest team. They look like they need more lower division know-how before the league season begins, and patience may be required if a slow start follows. Advertisement, and yet more than 50,000 season tickets have been sold to watch them at their unloved stadium. Captain Jarrod Bowen has committed his future for at least another year. The championship's home attendance record of 52,301, held by Newcastle, is expected to tumble if West Ham mount a promotion challenge. The conversations this summer have been less about anger than anticipation. There is a growing sense that relegation, painful as it was, offers the chance for a reset. Amanda Stavely and Mayadad Gadausi are closing in on buying a 25.1% stake, and sources familiar with the situation, who wish to remain anonymous to protect relationships, believe they will then pursue Sullivan's shares. If they succeed, West Ham will have new majority owners for the first time in almost 2 decades. They are ambitious, persuasive, and adventurous. Newcastle supporters remember them fondly from their time there. If they complete a takeover, expect bold ideas. West Ham moved alongside a sewer bank and created a bigger stink, yet this is still a football club that may emerge smelling of roses.